Well, hi everybody. Here we are for the introduction. No, it's not an introduction. We're here again. This is Real Deal. We're here to talk about things going on in the world today, in all over the place. Anyway, I'm here to, as you could tell by the title, today's class is Landlords, Tenants, and Trash Collection. Now, this this class, it's a class. I think it's more of a class than anything else. But we're going to be talking about trash collection, but we're talking about it in a way that covers the entire Commonwealth of Massachusetts, from Pittsfield to P-Town, as I like to say, and everywhere in between. I'm sorry if I didn't name your town. There's 351 cities and towns in Massachusetts, and Pittsfield and P-Town, they both P's. One's at one end of the state, and one's at the very tip of the other end. So, excuse me, I'm still getting over COVID. Oh, my COVID's gone, but the residuals are still there. Ugh, driving me nuts. But I'm okay. If anybody gives a crap whether Cindy's okay or not. A scratchy voice can be annoying when you're watching YouTube, so I apologize. But here I am. This is an important topic. But this topic covers the sanitation code. And I'm going to be talking about the part of the sanitation code. I know this is boring, huh? But it's the sanitation code for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts only as it relates to trash collection. I'm not getting into the whole sanitation code. We could be here for days, and all of us, including myself, would be sound asleep because it's mostly over most of our heads. It wouldn't apply to our everyday lives. Now, trash collection applies to absolutely everybody. You get stuff and you got to throw it away. And we get confused as to how we do that. You'd think we shouldn't, and through most of my life, you just throw it in the trash can and it just got carried away. Get your trash out trash day. They'll change the trash day on you and not tell you, but here you go. But now things are more complicated. Um, it's getting tougher and tougher to throw something away, especially here. I report my stuff from the little town of Townsend, Massachusetts, which is nestled, if you will, on the New Hampshire border, in north central Massachusetts. And if you've been following my channel from its beginnings, the trash has been a focus of mine and a focus of the people in Townsend. And there's a lot of stuff that has constantly, for the last few years, believe it or not, gone on in Townsend from town hall regarding trash. Much of it people don't hear about. And it's my goal. Transparency is my whole purpose and agenda here. And unfortunately, trash collection, because it's so impactful on all of our lives. I find myself, I'd rather talk about other things. I really would. But this is a really important topic and it impacts everybody. And I don't have my green screen, so I'm apologizing for the background. It's bleeding. The background is bleeding because I don't have my green screen up. And just focus on the books, focus on me. Don't focus on the bleeding in the background. So anyway, the sanitation code gives us a lot of information about trash, things that don't matter. Don't matter? Is that the right language, grammar? It doesn't matter what kind of trash collection you have. But the state sanitation code tells us some general rules. In particular, I'm focusing on landlords and tenants. Now, I invite everybody to stay tuned, stay on today. I mean, if you're in a 20, 50 unit apartment house, move on with your day. This might bore you to tears. You don't need to watch. And I mean, you can still watch it, but you don't have to pay attention. But if you're in a smaller dwelling, this will apply. And this is for landlords as well as tenants. And you both need to pay attention because what I'm about to talk about is going to mess you up if you have not been following the sanitation code. And I know for a fact that at least in my town, there's been so many rumors about what you're supposed to do. Tenants' rights have been just run over beyond belief. I'm not a tenant. I own my own home. I live in my own home. So I'm not a disgruntled tenant. I've lived here for over 40 years in this house that I own. I'm not a disgruntled tenant, nor am I a disgruntled landlord. I don't want to be a landlord because it's no. You know what I mean. Whether you're a tenant or a landlord, you know that, nah, not for me. I don't want to do that. It's tough. It's tough. Anyway, let's stick on the topic at hand is trash. But I know for a fact that landlords have got the wrong information. Where they're getting it, I don't know. But the rumors must stop. And tenants are being told nonsense. They're told the wrong thing. Tenants are not responsible for their trash. But don't just hang up now. There will be some little exceptions that I'm going to talk about. But landlords, you're responsible, okay? Hang on. Hang on. Everybody hold on, and don't everybody go down to the courthouse and file complaints. And don't everybody run down to the Board of Health and complain until such time as you calm down after I give you this video, because everybody's got something to hear here, right here, because the information that's out there that landlords are going by is wrong, and the information tenants are being told by their landlords and probably other people is wrong. I'm only hoping, I have not spoken to the Board of Health or Carla, who's our Board of Health administrator. I haven't talked to anybody down there, but I think you might want to. I know her phone's going to ring after this. I hope that they're not the ones giving out the bad information based on assumptions, rumors. Well, we've always done it this way. This is the information we've been put out. Oh, the state told us this. No, they didn't, because I'm going to show you the state sanitary. I don't know. Well, I don't know who said what to who, but I know that a lot of the information about who's responsible for your trash is wrong. We do have in the town I live in, there's a lot of tenants. Believe it, you would know most of the homes. I was surprised when I started doing the research on trash of how many multifamily dwellings we do have in towns, and we do have quite a few. Most of what I call downtown West Townsend. I know you would never know we had a downtown West Townsend. The intersection of West Elm and Canal Street and Route 119, that's an intersection, kind of loosely, by the brick store. That area is mostly multifamily dwellings, between 2 and even, I don't know if there might be 4-unit dwellings, some of them, but mostly up to 3. Oh, the Hobart House across there is more than whatever it is. And they got a dumpster. They're doing things okay, I think. I don't know. But I'm not, anyway, but I just want to let people know that we do have a lot of multifamily dwellings in Townsend that don't look that way. They look like they're a home, but they're not. They're a home, but there's more than one family living in some of these. And so a lot of people are impacted by this. There's even more people who are renting houses. I'm going to talk about you too, but you're one of those exceptions. If you're renting a house, you have to take care of your own trash, and you don't have to pay it. You can just move along if you don't want to listen to this. But if you're renting a house, you may not always be renting a house, and you might move on to something different. And if that's the case, you might want to know what I'm about to tell you. But everybody, if you are a landlord, if you own a renting to tenants, I don't care how many tenants you have. It doesn't matter if you have a 2-family, 3-family, 4, 5, 6. I don't care. This applies to you. There's no exception for smaller units, except somebody who's renting a whole house. Some of these issues may come up as we see more and more accessory dwelling units, but that's another. We'll hit that. We'll talk there when we get there. We'll have another video, but they're not popping up yet. But trash collection, if you're in Townsend, and probably a lot of communities, your trash collection services have changed over the last few years, and Townsend is in the midst of a disaster. The selectmen, every time they have a meeting, they change what they're doing with trash. And right now we call it in Townsend the purple bags. The purple bags represent the pay-as-you-throw program that includes purchasing plastic bags at local retailers for at right now the large bags are $3.50. As I've realized, that's a bargain. But that's what we have. But that is still in flux, and we're just it's a mess, and it's gonna they keep changing it. So we don't know what's gonna happen in the next few couple of months. But with all these changes that have actually been occurring over the last few years, it's important for me to do this video because some of these changes impact the trash responsibilities and how to handle them. And as I've discovered in my research and observations and talking to people in Townsend and people reaching out to me, is that there's all kinds of bad information out there. And I want to set the record straight. I'm not doing this video to upset people, but I'm just saying it's going to upset people because I know that people have been doing the wrong thing. And I'm not accusing anybody of deliberately doing the wrong thing. I just think that there's misinformation out there. And I want to make the record straight. I want to go over the state sanitation code. And I also want to say specifically to Townsend, you are not an independent country. That just because you're a smaller town, we're not by any means the smallest town in Massachusetts. We don't have exceptions to any laws. We cannot supersede the state sanitation code. Okay. We can't say, well, we do it differently in Townsend. That's the rest of Massachusetts. We do our trash differently. No, you have to follow the same laws that the state has. If we want to secede to New Hampshire, we can talk to them, but they do things a lot different, and I don't think anybody really wants to do that. We can secede to Canada. That's probably an interesting topic all around the world right now, but I'm not going to go there. We're going to stick to Massachusetts trash collection. So we can't make laws that say we're going to do it the old way. Can't do it. We can't set rules that supersede state law. Okay. So when I'm going to go over the state sanitation code, this is the law that even the sovereign nation, the so-called believed sovereign nation of the town of Townsend, Massachusetts, can't is it, they can't change it. This is how we have to live here. So rather than continually babbling on, I got to get that out of my face. I'm going to bring up, I didn't get it ready. I forgot to get it ready. Okay, I'm going to bring up the state sanitation code only as it relates to trash. I'm sorry, but it's going to take me a minute. Where'd I put it? Oh, I forgot to stage it. Okay, hang in there. It's coming. What's this? That's... Oh, there it is. Oh my goodness. Hang in there. It's coming. I need to share screen. Share screen. There it is. How about that? Got it? Can you see it now? There it is. I am going to actually get myself out of here so you can watch the entire thing. And now I got to get back to where it was because I can't touch it where it is. Here it is. Okay, this is the state sanitation code. It's 410-560, which is the part that is refuse, which is trash. That's fancy word for trash. So I'm going to read, sorry, except as provided in a couple other paragraphs, which are paragraphs within this law. The owner, pay attention, the owner of any residence that contains 2 or more dwelling units. That means 2. 1, 2. There's 1 or 2 apartments. It doesn't matter if it's owner occupied or not. You have a multifamily dwelling that has a minimum of 2 apartments in it. Okay? Not 3, not 4, 2. 1, 2. The owner of any rooming house, homeless shelter, manufactured housing community, and the occupant of any residence containing one dwelling. Now, that's the occupant. Don't get confused. If you're an occupant of a residence containing one dwelling unit. Okay, so the owner of a multifamily of 2 or more, or of course, if you live by yourself, or if you live in a one dwelling unit, such as you own the house, you're responsible to pay for and to pay for the final collection and ultimate disposal of refuse. In other words, you're responsible to take care of trash collection. Now, don't everybody go run into your landlord to pay for your purple bags. That's not happening because that's an exception. But let's get there. We'll get there. Occupants of any residence shall follow the requirements established by their community for the separation of recyclables, yard waste, food waste, and or bulk item materials from refuse. Now, what's recyclable? You know what? We know what recyclables are, right? I mean, sometimes we don't, but recyclables go in a separate container. Yard waste, different communities will have allowances for picking that up. We don't pick up yard waste. You have to take care of it yourself. We can't take it to our we don't have a transfer station. Here I go. We have a recycling center and we can take brush and leaves and all that kind of stuff there ourselves. They don't come get it. Food waste, that's a new thing. We shouldn't. They don't want us to throw food waste in the trash. They want us to get rid of it. There's a new thing. I really don't have a report on that, but there's a new thing because we really shouldn't be putting food waste in our trash. They'd prefer we don't do that. And bulk items are like if you have a 60-inch television, if you have any television or large plastic toys, yard chairs, tables, furniture, all these big things that don't fit in a plastic bag, you can't put those out with your trash. You have to take them to the recycling center and pay to have them disposed of, or to pay the trash hauler a special fee to take it away. And this is, but this is not all on your landlord now. But the separation is, we'll get there. Occupants and owners shall be responsible for the disposal of their bulk items in accordance with requirements established by their municipality. And we do have requirements established by our municipality. And it's fine. I just wish more people would follow the law because the town is a mess. Stuff is everywhere. Because it ain't cheap. You have to pay to get rid of your television. Sorry. Okay, now this is where we're going to get into storage. Garbage or mixed garbage shall be stored in watertight receptacles with tight fitting covers. Covered trash cans. This is state code. Okay, covered trash cans. Receptacles and covers should be durable, pest resistant, and deter access by wildlife. We live in bear country, so sometimes, you can't have a bear-proof trash can. So, we're pretty laid back on this one. If a bear wants your trash, a bear's going to get your trash. The raccoons, yeah, they could too. Anyway, plastic bags or biodegradable liners shall be used as a liner to store garbage or mixed rubbish and garbage in required receptacles. Here in Townsend, we're not really dealing. The garbage is food-based. Rubbish and garbage is, so Townsend people don't get all worked up on this because we're not dealing with a lot of garbage. That's a whole nother class. Okay, if a dumpster or cart-based automated or semi-automated system is used for storage and collection of garbage, no liner shall be required. So just skip that if you're in Townsend. This is just not, we don't even have that. I say recyclables and garbage or mixed garbage shall be stored in a manner that does not obstruct an egress, cause disease or health risks to humans or pets, or cause damage to property or the environment, and is in accordance with the municipality's requirements. That means when I say does not obstruct an egress, I know some people might not know what that word means. A doorway, an access to a building. It can't be outside your back door. You have to move it to get out the door. You can't block doorways. I once rented an office where sometimes I had to like move the trash barrels. People would just put the trash barrels in front of the door. I'm like, what is wrong with you people? But anyway, that's not my issue today. Okay, collection. Here's where we're going to start getting testy. Collection. The owner of any residence shall provide a sufficient number of receptacles. Those are those covered trash barrels required by 105 CMR 460-.560, paragraph D1. That was what we just did. Paragraph D1 is right here. D1, garbage or mixed garbage shall be stored in watertight receptacles with tight fitting covers. All landlords, the owner of any residence, that's a landlord, shall provide a sufficient number of receptacles required by that blah, blah, blah for the storage of refuse and recyclables before final collection or ultimate disposal. All landlords, every single one of them, there's no exceptions, shall provide trash barrels with watertight trash barrels with tight fitting covers to everybody, to all tenants as they apply. It's not unlimited. You know, the town, we have a different kind of system going here. We're on the purple bags right now. This is not or purple bags. This is the barrels are to put the purple bags in. Get it? You don't just throw your purple bags out on the street. Well, you can. On trash day, you can. Don't get me wrong here. But your landlord has to give you a recycle barrel because you still put recyclables in a barrel. People put their recycles out in a paper bag. Guess what? It goes all over the neighborhood when you go to work. And I'm really getting tired of it. And you know who you are. You know who you are. Your landlord is supposed to give you a recycling container, and that's where you put it. Got it? And so pay attention whether you're a tenant or landlord. You need to provide barrels, including the recycling barrels, and they have to be watertight. Basically the heavy plastic, your traditional barrels, traditional, okay? Nothing fancy, but they're supposed to have a functional cover. Oh, an owner who provides a dumpster or other suitable container shall locate them on the property so as to be convenient to the occupant, so no objectionable odors enter the residence and in accordance with the fire safety code, which we're not going to go into. Dumpster shall be covered, protected from leakage, and placed on an impervious material, like a cement base, not just on the dirt. That's the code. I know everybody isn't following it, but that's the code. And I'm pretty sure the trash haulers would prefer that because when it's muddy, rainy, snowy, all that stuff, putting a dumpster onto the flat ground as a regular thing. I mean, if you're doing a temporary dumpster rental, it's okay. But if this is your permanent trash receptacle, it needs to be on a pad because it will sink in the mud. The trash hauler may not get it out. And the more stuff, the heavier it gets, the worse it gets. So this makes perfect sense to me. Impervious material means basically a cement pad. Okay, the occupants of each resident, that's the tenants, shall be responsible for the proper placement of the refuse in the receptacles provided by the owner in any dumpster or suitable container if provided by the owner or according to the municipality's requirements. In municipalities with a pay-as-you-throw program, those are for towns and people. It's the trash, the purple bag thing. Okay, so those in the pay-as-you-throw, in which a fee per bag of waste is to be collected as charged, the occupant shall follow all municipal requirements and shall be responsible for all fees. In other words, the tenants, yes, if we have the purple bags, or some towns, I think Lunenburg has yellow bags. I don't know what color Ashby is, but different town, but all these different colored bags to separate, so you can't go to another town and get a cheaper bag, but you get, you have to follow the rules, but you are responsible for buying the bags. That's the exception. That's the only real exception to this landlord tenant thing. But the landlord, this section does not say the landlord does not have to provide trash barrels, okay? Especially the recycling barrels, because we don't put recycling. If you have a pay-as-you-throw program where you have plastic bags that you're paying for, that is not, you don't put your recyclables in there. You put the recyclables in a container that's designed for recyclables. Okay? It doesn't have to be even a blue one. You can buy any trash barrel and put a sticker on it that says recyclables. And they'll take, that's what I have. I have 2 barrels, one's trash, one's recyclables. And I have been putting the purple bag in the trash barrel. It just, it protects it from getting, water gets in there, it even gets heavier. So that's better. But if you're a landlord, you have to provide this barrel, both of them, for your tenants to put their recyclables in and things. And tenants, you need to hold your landlords accountable to this. Tenants are not required to purchase these barrels ever. It doesn't matter whether it's a 2-family, 3, it doesn't matter how few or as many apartments are in the building. It doesn't matter. The owner of the property is required to provide the receptacles. The only exception to that is if you're renting your house as an entire building. Any other rules would apply to maintenance of the property. That would be in whatever contract you have. And that's a whole nother, I'm not going into that kind of real estate stuff. This is all multifamily dwellings of 2 or more. And don't anybody start saying, yeah, but what about the 3 or more? No. This is 2 or more. This is what, it doesn't matter whether your town collects trash or not. Towns in the pay-as-you-throw program only applies to dwellings with 3 or fewer dwelling units. In other words, 3, did I say 3 or more? 3 or less apartments, 3 or 4 units, whatever you want to call it, 3 or less. I keep thinking I say more. 3 and below, that's who gets town trash collection. Those are the only people that participate in pay-as-you-throw, or the town picks up your trash. If you're in a larger function, a larger place, your owner of the building most likely has at least 1 dumpster out there and recycling barrels, or a separate recycling dumpster. Probably barrels. I know in my community we have Shaw's. I know in some places people have a dumpster, and Shaw's provides a couple of recycling barrels to put recyclables in, and they pick those up the same way they do for everybody else. But that's what Shaw's provide to landlords who have either office buildings, commercial buildings. They do recycling too, as well as apartments of 4 and more. There's dumpsters. I can't imagine having 4 or more units and you don't have a dumpster. I think a lot of 3 families, it would be better to have a dumpster. It's not as messy. You can drive around and see the mess that's out there. And dumpsters are better if you have 3 units. Trust me. Just trust me. But anyway, the law doesn't require that, but the landlord is required to provide the receptacles. The trash barrels must be provided by the landlord. That's why I'm doing this video, so that everybody understands. Okay? Now, next paragraph. Refuse shall be put out for collection in accordance with local municipal requirements, but no earlier than the day before collection. This is state code. Garbage put out the day before collection must be placed in containers meeting the requirements. In other words, if you don't have a barrel, if you're just going to put out your purple bag, you shouldn't be putting your purple bag out before actual trash day. My house, I have Tuesday trash collection. If I'm just putting a plastic bag out there by this state sanitation code, the plastic bag can't go out until Tuesday morning. I can't put it out Monday afternoon. I got to wait till Tuesday morning. There are health requirements for that. Can I say raccoon enough times? And just it's just I'm not going to get into it. But that's the code. I mean, I know. Don't take my head off. I know that there's nobody really enforcing this, but we also have a bylaw. I'm not pulling it up. That requires that you can only put your trash out by the street the trash day. You can't put it out. You can't keep your trash by the street unless you've got such a small property, which most of us in Townsend don't. It depends on the setup of your property. Sometimes that's the only place to keep it. But I know that there are multifamily dwellings who they keep their trash by the side of the road 24/7. Looks hideous. And it blows all over the neighborhood. You know who you are. I'm telling you. But it's against the law. You need to put your trash elsewhere and move it to the street on trash day in those receptacles provided by the property owner. Got it? Okay. Plastic bags may be put out the day of collection, except in those places where the practice is prohibited, where the Board of Health determines that such practice constitutes a health problem. Now, this particular paragraph may be confusing to those who, like me, who in like a town like Townsend, we don't have. Why would that? What is that? That doesn't make sense. Some communities, like I think, like the city of Boston, even places that are having a problem with rodents, like rats. You'll see this in larger cities where more congested living is occurring, and we don't have to worry about rats, okay? Even though we're talking about reducing zoning, we are very far from having a rat problem that necessitates these kind of rules, okay? We there's rats in towns, and if you don't know that, you're sleeping. Uh, we have waterways, we have rats. They're out there. Sorry. You can confuse them with other criminals. Yeah, they're criminals with other vermin. They're but they're there. But that's why this is here that some communities do not allow plastic bags to be left out. All trash must be in a receptacle. We do allow for some the plastic bags to be put out without a trash receptacle, without a barrel, but the reason that this is here is that some communities don't allow for that. Okay, disposal may be by means of the regular municipal collection system or any other collection system approved by the Board of Health. We can use trash compactors and we can have backyard composting. The owner of the property has to allow for that. If you are in a multifamily dwelling, a lot of landlords really don't want their tenants to do so. But sometimes, depending on the relationship between a landlord and a tenant, um, and the property, that might be encouraged or allowed. It's a good thing if you're certainly most single homeowners do compost, and you really you should compost if you know how to do it. But I can think of all kinds of reasons why landlords might not want to deal with that problem because of the things that can end up in there and the landlord has no control of it. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on that, but anyway. And the maintenance of areas, I really don't want to get into this, but basically the landlord's responsible for making sure that the property is clean and maintained. And if you're a tenant and if you've lived a long time, you've lived in places where your property is not maintained, but it needs to be, and that's a whole nother class I'm not going to go into. I came here today to talk about trash collection, and I wanted to present the sanitation code to you as that applies. And the basis of this whole presentation was that landlords, I do not care how many apartments you have, that you don't have any exceptions for a 1 or 2 or a 3, that your tenants are not responsible for the purchase of trash barrels, and they're not your tenants. You can't just say to your tenants, I'm not providing trash barrels, and you just put your trash out on the street. That doesn't work. That's not legal. You can't. Okay, let me back up. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not giving legal advice. I'm reading the state sanitation code. I'm going to now talk a little bit about not giving legal advice, but where to get it, or what resources tenants have. Landlords are, I mean, sorry, landlords, you're kind of on your own. If you need to, you, everybody should, if you're upset about this video, the Board of Health is going to get some phone calls. Lawyers should also get some phone calls. If you're a property owner and you have a lawyer that you deal with, and you have questions about the sanitation code, and you want to argue with me, you should really talk to your attorney. I'm reading the sanitation code, and I'm encouraging tenants to stand up for their rights, and landlords to be nice about this. Everybody can get along, because I know that there's plenty of landlords that are going to have to make changes because tenants are going to be knocking on your door when they see this. But I'm going to pull up another. I'm going to get this out of here. Get lost. Stop screen. That's gone. I'm going to see if I can pull up the other one I had ready to go. That's not what I want. I've got a checklist that I got. There's a website. I didn't get it directly from I got it kind of a sideways. Massachusetts Legal Services, masslegalservices.org or something. If you just start typing in one word, Mass Legal Services, the website will come up. It's there. It is lawyers, but it's an organization that helps people, mostly people that are in poverty or people who are, disadvantaged, to get a lot of legal advice. And it's basic. You don't have to be disadvantaged to be benefited by the information on their website. But there's, is it, oh no, Mass Legal Help, Mass Legal Services. They're the same people. One is geared towards lawyers or advocates, and the others towards basic people who are seeking assistance, or like trying to self-advocate for themselves, because a lot of people can't afford a lawyer, and a lot of things you don't need a lawyer for. There's self-help, and that's part of what I'm doing here, is providing you with this information, as well as providing you with the resource to get more information, and where I got it, and where and then you can, of course, if you qualify, you can go to legal services if you need to. There's also the Attorney General's office. That as far as if you have a problem with landlords regarding this issue, you should speak to the Board of Health. You can file a complaint with the Board of Health, and all this needs to be in writing, not just I called the Board of Health. No, there's a process, and that unfortunately, I mean, I'm not suggesting lawsuits, okay? I'm just saying that it can go to court. There would be an appeal process. I really don't know what it is. But filing a complaint with the Board of Health, Neshoba Associated Boards of Health does a lot of our legwork in the town when people do have landlord complaints, and they do pop up. And the Board of Health gets involved, but a lot of it gets turfed over to Neshoba in conjunction with our Board of Health, to make sure that landlord and tenant landlords are required. The state sanitation code requires habitable buildings, and trash. The doing trash right is part of that. That's why it's state sanitation code. So anyway, let me go, if I can pull up. I'm going to try to find booklet housing code checklist. Here it is. Can you see that? There it is. I'm going to get myself out of the way again and try to go back to this. Housing code checklist. Okay, there's a long checklist that is This booklet is online through Mass Legal Services, and it's a checklist that is handy dandy checklist for tenants who are having difficulties with their landlord and they're in the process of being evicted. And this checklist was provided by these folks at Mass Legal to help tenants who might be living in a less than desirable location and the landlord isn't doing what they're supposed to. And this type of a checklist can be used in court. Apparently, I'm not giving legal advice, okay, to assist. But this is a self-help checklist. This is what these people are putting out there so that you could do your own stuff. So you can see what your rights are. But this is part of a checklist. This is part of a very long checklist. Well, it's not too long, but it provides the information. This whole checklist is pretty cool. Maybe when I'm done, I'll show you the beginning of it. But it gives you so you could put on your thing the date the landlord knew about the violation, and then if there's a violation, you check the box, and then it tells you the sanitary code section so that you can look it up if you don't understand, or that you can prove that there's a violation. If you need to read all this. It's a lot more legwork than just taking a checklist and I'm going to go after my landlord. I'm not encouraging people to go after anybody, okay? I'm just trying to educate here. Because our trash problem here in Townsend it's not new. There's a lot of changes going on, but there's just a lot of things that aren't new. So, okay, checklist we're here about trash. This is the first one for garbage. The landlord is responsible for disposing of and paying for the removal of refuse in any residence with 2 or more units, except not bulk items or in a city or town with pay-as-you-throw program. Refuse means garbage, rubbish, recyclables, bulk items, and yard waste. The occupant is responsible for paying for collection of refuse and disposing of it in a single-family residence. And that means you're renting a house. Or if you live alone in a single-family house. But if you're renting a house, you've got to take care of your own stuff. Garbage shall be stored in watertight garbage cans with tightly fitting covers and liners. The landlord must provide a sufficient number of cans or dumpsters for garbage and recyclables. The landlord must place dumpster or garbage containers on the property so that they are convenient to tenants and do not allow odors into your living space. I've gone over all of these things and already in the code itself, but now I'm giving it to you in this checklist that's available. Landlords and occupants must follow requirements by their community for the disposal of bulk items, such as mattresses, large appliances, and furniture. And in Townsend, that is, you must take it to the recycling center. If it's too big, you can contact, in Townsend right now, our hauler is Shaw's, but you can contact other haulers. You don't have to pay them to pick up these items, but you have to make a special appointment and pay extra. This is not part of the town trash collection program. Occupants must follow requirements by their community for separating recyclables, yard waste, food waste, and bulk items. That's occupants, the resident, the tenant, if you will. In this one, you really need to coordinate with your landlord as well, because they're providing the containers. If your landlord if you don't have 15 different separated containers, which they don't necessarily have to provide, it depends on the contract your landlord has with the hauler. So don't split hairs over this one, but your landlord will guide you on how to handle this stuff. They just have to provide the containers and let you know how to use them. The landlord must maintain the land and communal spaces in a sanitary and safe condition, free from refuse. In other words, you can't have trash all over the place. And it's the landlord's responsibility to keep the place clean, even if the tenants are trashy. Even if the tenants are just throwing their trash everywhere, the landlord needs to enforce it. That's their job. I know it's a tough job, so I don't want to be a landlord. I'm happy not being one. I am. I'm sorry, I just don't. This gets it. Then we get into other ventilation in the house. No, we're not going to go there. But this is the checklist for trash. This is, close your eyes. I'm going to make this spin. There we go. Housing code checklist. Representing yourself in an eviction case. That's the name of the checklist I have. It has everything in it. All right. I was just going over garbage because that's the topic of today's class. We're just talking about trash collection. And I wanted to cover this touchy topic for landlords and tenants. Sometimes get really defensive really fast. And I know some of you may have already called your landlord. Slow it down. If your landlord, I know I've spoken to some landlords and or property owners or whatever you want to call them. I have, and they've informed me that there's these exceptions. They don't have to provide the containers, and that didn't sound right to me. So I looked it up. This was last year. I actually looked it up, and I'm sorry, I'm just getting around to doing the video. And they're wrong, and I believe that they really believe they're right, and they just need to get educated. They're not deliberately. Some landlords can be jerks, and I'm not saying I've met any of them in Townsend. Okay, I'm just saying that the property owners that have not been providing receptacles as required by the state sanitation code, I truly do believe that they're doing it because they believe they're doing the right thing. It's not their obligation. And I'm here to tell you it is their obligation. And if you're a property owner and you're getting mad at me right now, slow it down, breathe. I'm going to do meditation. I'm going to do a video on meditation one of these days. I won't get any views. No, I probably will get some actually. But we will, excuse me, this COVID residuals. Anyway, I know, if you're a property owner and she doesn't know what she's talking about, look it up yourself. I showed you the code. Look up the code. Search the internet, whatever. Try to find whatever exceptions you think you found. They're not there. And if the board, I really hope and pray that the Board of Health isn't the one that is giving out this bad information. There are booklets out there. I've dug them up. I'm not presenting them because it's just not there. This thing that I'm told exists. I have over the years in my work, it has been part of my work to help people work through some of these complex problems in society and the world at large. And I've been very proud of that work. And over the years, I've provided these booklets to both property owners and tenants and help them understand how to get through some of the tough problems that happen in all kinds of areas of life. And I've seen these booklets. I've had them, and I even dug up some of my old ones, and it's not there. It's just not there that says that a landlord doesn't have to provide trash receptacles. There's no such booklet. There's no such exception. There's no law that says landlords don't have to provide trash receptacles. And when you think about it, how much sense does that make? Okay, I'll just throw it on the ground. What do you want me to do with my trash? You've got to put it, come on. There's common sense. When you think about it, it is common sense that you don't. I remember when I first moved to Townsend 43 years ago, I rented. My house was a two-family. It's not anymore. But I rented the second floor apartment in my house. And I remember they told me I had to get my own trash barrels. And I don't know where they got it. And in hindsight, I have not found any such law. There isn't one. There landlords, and I'm in what was a two-family house. The the two-family and above, the owner provides the trash receptacles. There's no law that says there's an exception. Just not there. If you find it, show it to me. I can't imagine that there's a law that supersedes the state sanitation code. The town can't pass that kind of law. It has to be above the state. So the federal government would have to say states cannot pass laws regarding trash. No, of course they can. The state, this is state sanitation code. It's current as of this minute. And this is Sunday, March 23rd, 2025. That is the law as it stands right now. And again, I'm not giving legal advice other than a little self-help recommendations. If you can get legal services, I recommend, if you have concerns before you get arrested for something, you don't, please, by all means, contact an attorney. If you're a property owner, you probably might want to. If you think you're going to have tenants filing formal complaints, or if you get some, or if the Board of Health starts knocking at your door. I mean, and certainly if the Board of Health is the culprit here on passing out the wrong information, I hope that they listen and to me and look it up themselves and contact somebody. I talked to Rick Metcalf last year when all this trash stuff was going on, and that Neshoba doesn't get involved with trash. They do get involved with tenant problems though. And if trash is part of the problem, then they would be involved. But as far as regulating trash, they don't touch it. Nope. But so nobody can say Neshoba did it. It's I'm really hoping it's not coming out of our Board of Health, because they need to back up, regroup, and read the code. And if they need to contact somebody else, town council is a great resource. I'm sure town council will go, oh yeah, that's in the code. That's just my thought, my opinion. So again, I'm not giving legal advice to anybody, but I provided the self-help information and the source of it. My source from this, Mass Legal Services, they provide self-help information for the masses, me and you and everybody in between. And I'm starting to babble, but I just wanted to provide this in the midst of all of our changing trash stories in our town. But the state sanitation code covers every city and town in Massachusetts, not just Townsend. And Townsend does have to follow the state sanitation code. So I encourage everybody to take a breath, and whatever side you might be on this question and this issue about providing trash barrels, please spend your afternoon on Google. And then if you need to contact somebody, do so in a calm, respectful manner. Okay. There's no need to yell and scream and throw fits and throw your trash out the window. Just back up. If your landlord has told you they don't have to provide trash barrels, they believe they don't. They really believe they don't. So, and that's my opinion. It's just my opinion. If they thought they were required to provide them, I'm pretty sure they would. And I don't think they're just not doing it because they can get away with something. I think they really believe that they're in the right. So give them a break and speak to them. They might not appreciate that you heard it on my video, but maybe they will. I'm not here to attack landlords. I want landlords to get something from this and to look at it and go, oh shoot, that's right. She's right. Oh my God, the state sanitation code does say that. And I'm sure the Board of Health is going to get phone calls in my town and maybe others. I don't know, but get ready. But my intent here is just to educate, and those who need to deal with this issue, please do so in a calm and respectful manner. But I do encourage tenants to stand up for your rights, and I do encourage landlords to do the right thing for your tenants in accordance with the state sanitation code, especially since this trash thing is still blowing up in our faces here in Townsend, Massachusetts. So that's all I have for today on this video. I don't even know what time it is. I don't know that I'll get another video out. I'm kind of tired still from all this COVID nonsense. So we shall see. But I hope this was helpful to those of you that have watched it. And please like and share and subscribe if you don't. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. And if you please and share this. You can share this with your friends and from anywhere in Massachusetts. This one is a good one for anybody in Massachusetts. It is not strictly a local issue. This is statewide. We just went over the state sanitation code. So, okay, I will talk to you on the next video. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you've been listening to this whole thing that's been about 56 minutes long. It's a marathon. I've had longer ones. But anyway, all right. Have a good rest of your day. Watch it again if you missed something. This is educational. Okay. Thank you. Have a good day now.